It's Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross. We're back on the Final Word Daily. Programs we're going to make every day of the England-South Africa Test Series. We're here at Lord's for the first test that begins tomorrow. We're here for the Advanced Hair Studio, the world leaders in hair restoration. Jump on advancedhairstudio.com/final word for your 15% off. We'll talk more about them in a moment. Daniel, lovely to be back. We've both had a bit of time off. You've been doing some white ball, I've been doing some travel, and here we are ready for another test series. The first time these teams have met in this country since 2017.
It's marvellous, isn't it? It's great to be back in the second oldest test venue in London, here at Lord's, and Douglas Jardine, I'm sure, would approve. You can smell the red leather ball, can't you, already? I've done quite a bit of 100, and it's been quite entertaining on occasion, especially once the women arrived and beefed the competition up. But no matter how many 48 ball hundreds you see, I want to see what could well be a 48 ball hundred the way England are playing in a test match. And it's a really exciting contest between these two, because we've seen England adopt a very different approach to their test cricket in the first four matches, which now seem like an age ago. What was it, like the 7th of July or so, the last game? But every time they come up against a new opponent, it's working out whether that style's going to work. It's seeing whether these balls have changed. We're going to have to discuss that, because there's talk that they may have improved a little bit. And if so, what happens also if England bat first? We've not seen them bat first.
Well, might it be the case that South Africa take the view that they want to engineer the test match so that England bat first? Very unusual to want it to play out that way, but I mean, if you're trying to do what your enemy wants you to do least, then presumably England will go out tomorrow wanting to bowl if they win the toss. Unusual as it is at a ground like this.
Yes, I mean, at Lord's you do get that sort of look up, not down thing, and if it's grey and cloudy, then they might want to bowl anyway, South Africa. But, you know, the way England have played has been about framing the game around, doesn't matter how many you get in your first innings, most notably at Trent Bridge when the New Zealanders got 550. They then bat accordingly to get to that total and beyond, to give themselves time to win the game. That's all they're interested in. How does that work if you're setting the total? Do you need to go slower? Do you think about going slower, or do you still go hell for leather? I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see.
Well, we did see in the Lions game, the warm-up game last week, which Dean Elgar sort of shit-canned today, saying you read nothing into this. They went at 5.72 runs and over, tallying 670 odd or something like that. So I suppose the price signal is filtering down to the level below and into probably the county championship as well. If you want to play Test cricket, this is the way you're going to have to play it in this mode, and that's been, in a way, the main talking point ahead of this series. We've seen Dean Elgar asked repeatedly, and Rick Nokia as well, but Dean Elgar specifically around Bazball, that term, that jargon that is now becoming quite frustrating. We've said it so often, but his response, Elgar, was that we'll play our way, they can play their way, and we reckon our way works better. Ben Stokes, when asked about it at his press conference today about Elgar's comments, so we're being asked about comments, went back and said, well, he says he doesn't care too much, but he can't shut up talking about it, which nice little slap across the face there. But yeah, it feels like this competing philosophy. It's ideological almost. That South Africa are not going to try and chase England at 5 and over. They're going to play their way.
Well, of all the sides in world cricket, South Africa have got the strongest reputation for being exceptionally conservative, and they always have done. Since they came back in, even under Hansie Cronje's captaincy, but especially under Graham Smith, the sort of the Gary Kirsten approach of just grind and grind and grind. That's the way they play, and they've got a lot of confidence in their bowling attack. They think they've got a really good crop of fast bowlers, and they think that if England try to play that kind of what they term as reckless and aggressive way, they'll come unstuck. But, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because this is going all the way through the system. Sam Billings, in his comments, he was winding up Dean Elgar a little bit. He was saying, Dean Elgar says he's not going to change his approach regardless of the way England played. Well, we've just played like that, and we're the second best team, if that. We're the second best team. We've just trounced them by an innings. So there's a bit of needle, there's a bit of winding up, and you can see why, because if South Africa get the chance to play at their groove, and in their groove, they have, over the years in England, notwithstanding the last series they played maybe in 2017, but before that, it's been very difficult for England to beat South Africa. They've played in a certain way, in a relentless way, and I think this is kind of like just a way to try and get under their skin and say, do something different, knowing that South Africans they don't feel very adaptable. So if you're asking them to adapt, you might actually get them to fall in a heap.
So here was that. I was at the press conference earlier for Ben Stokes and Dean Elgar. We'll hear from Stokes first about Elgar's comments, and then Elgar in response to Stokes about himself, if you can work that out. Here they are.
Look, the opposition seem to be doing a lot of the talking at the moment about it. We don't really speak about it that much. We just concentrate on what we do. You know, we've got a style of play. They've got a style of play. At the end of the day, it's bat against ball. Whoever plays best over a test match is, you know, more than likely to win. But you know, we don't dive into it too much. But happy for Dean and the South African team to keep saying they're not interested, but then also keep talking about it. So, yeah.
Bazball, Ben Stokes said he was surprised you guys are talking about it so much.
With all due respect, I'm really not going to entertain that anymore. We've chatted about it long and hard. I just want to crack on with the cricket. I think the game deserves that respect. Mudslinging is now a thing of the past for me, and we're not going to go back and forth anymore around that.
So Dean Elgar, pretty clear there. He doesn't want to talk about it at all. He isn't going to add fuel to that fire in the lead up to the Test match tomorrow. What we do know is that England are effectively unchanged. One change from the side that beat India, Sam Billings coming out, but Ben Foakes, the Surrey wicketkeeper, replacing him as the first choice, as he was in the first 3 Test matches of the summer. Well, the first 2.5 until he went down with COVID-19. But from Stokes' perspective and the words he used, if you're in a winning team and you've won 4 in a row, it's your shirt, you deserve to be there, which really I think is just bolstering that argument that Zach Crawley should still be here.
Yes, it's very much doing that, isn't it? And also Matt Potts, for that matter, because Ollie Robinson has been proving his fitness and bowled very well in that Lions game. And he also, I've got to say, looks fitter. You know, if you see Ollie Robinson now, it's a different looking Ollie Robinson from the one that played certainly against the Australians. So it's a vote of confidence in Potts, and it's a big vote of confidence in Crawley. It's our job, I'm afraid, we'll be keeping our eyes very closely on Crawley, because he hasn't had a particularly good run of form. I spoke to Rory Dollard about this yesterday, and he makes a strong case for Crawley. He says, look, he fits in perfectly to the style that England want to play. He has made hundreds. He has recently, and I think we both noticed this, in the last innings that he played, he just started to flex his front knee. This is getting a bit technical here, but a lot of his problems have been playing with a very stiff front leg and pushing the bat out ahead. And so there's quite a small technical tweak that might allow him to move into the ball. And the other thing I noticed in that last innings, he was bowled leaving it. Do you remember?
Yeah.
The opening partnership put on over 100, needing 370 odd to win. India thought that they were home and host. And Lees and Crawley came out, and Lees was actually more aggressive than Crawley. So again, I hesitate to use the word Bazball, but Bazball is not the same thing to all people. And so Crawley's not encouraged just to go out there and smash the ball. Crawley's encouraged to be the best version of himself. And I think I'm starting to see signs of Crawley learning on the job. Your biggest fear when you watch a player is if they get out the same way over and over again. Ollie Pope gets out a million different ways because he's so good, he's got so many shots. Crawley and James Vince both were getting out in exactly the same way. Now, I'm just seeing signs that Crawley's coming to terms with that. It looks to me like he's going to get 3 tests, but if England lose the first 2 test matches, then they may decide that in the 3rd test they feel that they've got to make a change.
They might make a change to James Vince, but that's a whole other thing. And Crawley's been playing white ball cricket here for London Spirit, and they've been going okay. So the extent that you want to draw parallels between form in white ball and red ball cricket, it's there if you want. James Anderson hasn't been playing white ball cricket for years and years and years, which contributes to the fact that he's going to be, is it the first fast bowler over the age of 40 for half a century or something like that. Either way, it's a remarkable achievement. He's still fit as a fiddle. Hearing from Stokes this morning saying that from Anderson's perspective, this isn't some farewell summer. He's got plenty of gas still in the tank. And Anderson will be playing against an opponent that he knows so well, having taken the field against South Africa in this country some 19 summers ago.
Yeah, look, he not desperately wants to keep going. He sees no reason to not keep going. And he's on record saying he's enjoying his cricket more than ever. We were in the same hotel as him up at Headingley, and I don't think I've ever seen him more enthused by what he's doing.
What was that comment he said to us? He wishes he was 30 because he wishes he was going into a dressing room with loads and loads of cricket ahead of him. He's mindful that, he's not going to be playing when he's 50, of course.
No.
But, yeah, I agree. It's that he is buzzing. This isn't sort of cynical, worry old James Anderson, lithe James Anderson sitting in the corner angry with the world, that kind of cliche he's built around himself. This is like boyish Anderson. He's ready to roll.
It's weird, isn't it? It's really weird to watch because I sort of challenged him on this and said, "Oh, come on, you've seen it all now. You've seen it all in 19 years. There's nothing new." And he said, "No. This is different. I've never been happier, basically. I've never been in a happier dressing room. I've never been enjoying my cricket more." And look, he's got his eyes on the Ashes as well next year.
Yeah.
If he was thinking of a farewell, it might be that, but I don't think he is. It's not the way his brain works is to think about a farewell. There's a whole load of things he wants to do, and it's not just statistical. It's not just becoming the first fast bowler to get over 700. It's not getting past the late great Shane Warne. Those are things that we think about. It's that he's really enjoying playing cricket. He's really enjoying trying out new deliveries. It's amazing to think, isn't it? But that's probably what we talk about there being too much cricket. James Anderson plays at most 12 test matches in a year, and he never plays all of them. Yeah. And he'll probably play 3 or 4 times for Lancashire in 4-day games, and maybe 2 or 3 warm-up games if they even schedule those. So that is the amount of cricket he's going to play, and he can manage himself on that basis. Whereas, you're looking at someone like Joe Root, and he's trying to work out, do I want to be in the IPL? I've got all the 50-over comps to play. I've got all the test matches as well.
Want to be in the T20 team but isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of cricketers have got all those things to worry about. But it's no coincidence, is it, that Anderson and Broad are still going strong at their age because they're not doing all those other things. So, and I'm not for 1 minute suggesting, by the way, that other cricketers should follow their example. You play the cricket you want to play and you get paid the money that you can get. I mean, that's the way it works.
And Stokes himself said today he wants to play till he's 40 as well. He wants Anderson to serve as an inspiration to fast bowlers around the world, that if they manage their bodies well and manage their minds well, that anything might be possible. Speaking of fast bowlers and preparation, Kaisa Rabada hasn't had much of that because they only played 1 tour game. He's got that thingy ankle at the moment. I doubt they're going to practice properly today. It's been raining most of the afternoon, so it feels unlikely he will play. I'm not for a heartbeat saying they'll play 2 spinners, but they might be just tempted to think about it for 5 minutes because Maharaj and Harmer bowled out Bangladesh twice in 2 test matches. They're the last 2 test matches that South Africa played. We've had so much attention on the Proteas off the field with what's going on with CSA, what's going on with these franchises being bought up by IPL teams, about them forfeiting a 1-day series later this year against Australia, about having to go through the repechage to make the 50-over World Cup last year. But just quietly, they're becoming quite a decent test team. They beat India 2-1. They won 1 test match against New Zealand in New Zealand, and then
Which is not easy.
No, not at all. And then they thumped Bangladesh in 2 days, twice in a row or thereabouts, with Harmer and Maharaj. And Harmer, with his extraordinary record in England, you couldn't completely rule it out. If Rabada isn't playing, they might go, he might be, at a ground he knows so well, a decent option.
Well, pick your best bowlers. And the thing is, they've got a little bit of an opportunity here in the likes of Pekkahuayo or Pretorius. They've also got Marco Jansen, the tall left armer.
Probably the most likely to play is Marco Jansen out of that lot.
Oh, you would think so, yeah, but along with Norcross. If you're countering a side that comes at you hard, then Simon Harmer's a pretty good weapon to have, isn't he? And I guess a lot would depend on the toss, because you'd want to be bowling 4th, and that's sort of what England want to be doing as well. So if you pick the 2 spinners, then you're sort of playing into England's hands, but you might actually be calling their bluff and saying, come on then, let's see what you can do. It's been really, really dry in England the last 6 weeks. The one counter I would say to this is, I remember Lawrence Booth saying this back in 2019, I think it was, when we had quite a long dry spell leading into the Ashes after the wet World Cup. And the pitches were not dry because they get heavily watered. We're here at every game and we see just how many hundreds of thousands of gallons get spewed onto these grounds, these outfields. So I don't think it's going to be dry, abrasive surfaces.
It's not 1976 anymore,
No, it isn't. And Lords, I'm not sure about. But I would say for Old Trafford, which does have a reputation for taking spin, abrasive surface, and the Oval, which has been taking some spin, even in the 100 matches, there's been an appreciable turn. So those 2 games, I think it's more likely. So I'd say at Lords, especially when they turn up tomorrow, the forecast is for it to be grey and overcast, for some thundery downpours, that, you'd be a very brave man to select 2 spinners at Lord's tomorrow. But give it a week, and I think we might see him in tandem at Old Trafford.
Isn't it very English that we've had a heat wave between these 2 test series and it's been pouring with rain today, but it's fine at the moment, and hopefully it'll be fine for enough of the next 5 days. We'll be here at Lord's, Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross for Advanced Test Studio. Go and support them, advancedteststudio.com/final word for 15% off the world leaders in hair restoration. Get your hair. He's going to get his hair done. We've pretty much committed to this now. Between now and the end of the season, we'll get you one of these free consultations, and you will be away.
Hooray.
And I can't wait. All right, enough from us. Until tomorrow, bye.
Bye.